To write a decimal as a fraction, it's going to be pretty straightforward. All you're going to do is read the decimal. Now, I know it's very common for us to look at a decimal that looks like this, for example, and say 0.4. But that's not going to help us, and that is not proper terminology. It's really important to use proper terminology because the proper terminology tells us what the decimal actually looks like as a fraction. Now, our place values for our decimals, we have 0.4, right? This is our first decimal place, and we call that the tenths place. So, anything that's in this spot right here can be written over 10 tenths and be accurate, right? If I read this out loud, it is 0 and 4 tenths, or just 4 tenths. 4 over 10 is a fraction, and that is adequate. However, we do want to make sure we are simplifying when we are working with fractions, especially if we turn them into a fraction from a decimal, because when we get out to the hundreds and thousands, we're going to be dealing with some pretty significantly huge numbers, and that's not necessarily going to be helpful to us in that huge form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about what numbers can both 4 and 10 be divided by. And now they're both even numbers, so that makes it pretty simple for us. I can divide by 2 for sure. I can't divide 10 by 4, so I can't divide by anything larger in this case. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, 10 divided by 2 is 5, and that cannot be simplified anymore. So this decimal, 4 tenths, is equal to 2/5. So our place values, just to be sure, we have the tens place, we have the ones, and then once we hit the decimal, we have the tenths, the hundredths, and then we have the thousandths. Now we can keep going, but these are the most significant ones, the most common ones we will use. Let's take one more example. Let's say, and my daughter's calling for me, sorry everyone. We have 32 and 359 thousandths. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 32 because it's a whole number, and then I have my fraction. Thousandths is my denominator because this is the third decimal place, and I have 359 as my numerator. This can't be simplified, so that would simply be my answer. Go give it a shot on your own.